I'm a guy who has a great passion for dolls, and this is a scary story about a spooky doll that I used to have. I bought this doll from a thrift shop located in Japan. It took me over a month for it to be delivered here. Having finished the payment, I brought the package inside. The doll was quite big and bulky. It took me a lot of effort to finally drag it into the house. Feeling excited, I took a paper knife and carefully opened the package. Needless to say, I was really nervous as I had waited a long time for this one. It was a clown doll. Its size was as big as that of an adult. The lines were immensely detailed, which made the doll become so lively. I slowly removed the nylon layer. My first impression with the toy was that it was very well packaged. I was very satisfied with the doll as it gave me an eerie vibe when I looked at it. I didn't expect that it would be as tall as I was. During that time, I had been hearing a lot about Japanese sex dolls, which were made up very realistically to look like a human. So there was a high chance that mine was also made out of those materials. As I was leading a single life at that time, I considered the doll a friend of mine. I even slept with it, talked to it every time I felt bored. It was great to have someone that only listened to you without making any judgment. However, one night as I was sleeping, I suddenly had a feeling that someone was watching me as I could feel them breathing near my face. I opened my eyes and looked around as my gaze stopped at the doll. I was startled. I remember having the doll laying on its back, but now it was laying on the side, staring at me. What was even more bizarre was that during those days, every time I got up, I always felt tired and dehydrated. But that didn't bother me much, as I believed it was the excessive work that caused me to feel that way. Later, when I had a girlfriend, I asked her to come over to my house. Even though I had told her about my hobby of collecting dolls, the clown doll made her feel a bit worried the first time she saw it. The doll wasn't supposed to look adorable. In fact, it looked a bit scary, so I could understand why she was afraid. I quickly reassured her, then told her to wait while I get her something to drink. It was obvious that my girlfriend found it uncomfortable to sit next to the clown doll alone, considering the fact that it had the size of an adult and a scary face. I pulled the drink as fast as I could so I could get back to her. All of a sudden, I heard a fierce scream coming out of the living room. I quickly ran to check and was terrified to see the scene appearing before my eyes. The clown doll was laying on top of my girlfriend. She fearfully looked at me, begging for help. I hurriedly pulled the doll out of my girlfriend and told her not to try lifting as it was really heavy. But she explained to me that she didn't have any intention of lifting it up. It was the doll that came at her. I reassured her again, saying perhaps the scary look of the doll had terrified her and made her hallucinate. Her face was full of sheer terror. She instantly told me to put the doll into my wardrobe. Since I didn't want to upset her, I put on a smile and did what I was told at once. You stay here. It's gonna be my first time, so don't hate me for leaving you in this wardrobe. That night, I finally succeeded in convincing my girlfriend to stay the night with me. The perfect moment had come. Since it was the first time for both of us, we instantly blushed as we looked at each other. My girlfriend gave me an affectionate hug and then a French kiss. As we were making out passionately, we breathed shallowly as if we were having asthma. As we were so caught up in our own business, all of a sudden she bit my tongue and screamed loudly, then buried her face into my chest, trembling uncontrollably. I asked her what had happened. She speechlessly pointed at the wardrobe doors. As I gazed at the wardrobe, I was astounded to find out that the door had been open. I could feel my skin crawl as I looked at the doll's face slowly appearing in the dark. Its facial expression made it look so demonically. I went to the wardrobe, neatly placed the doll, then closed the doors firmly. I comforted my girlfriend afterwards and apologized for the doors being badly closed. But she was still scared, as she had a premonition the doll was watching them, and it wasn't as inanimate as it might seem. I put on a smile as I listened to her and told her that she was just overthinking, as the doll had been with me for over a month, yet nothing abnormally happened. However, she went on by telling me about the horror stories of ghosts living inside dolls in Japan, which made me feel slightly scared. I then promised that I would sell the doll if it could make her feel any better. The next morning, I put the doll inside the original package, whilst not forgetting to make an apology. "I'm so sorry for this, but I have to get married anyway. I'll get you a new owner." Then wrapped the doll with a plastic bag and sealed the package. Despite having a bit of regret, I believed selling the doll away was the best thing I could do under the circumstances. Later, I went out to buy something for breakfast. As I was on my way, I suddenly realized that I had forgotten my wallet, hence returning home. When I went to the door, I heard someone screaming fiercely. Without hesitation, I pushed the door at once. The terrifying scene appeared before my eyes, made my heart drop to my stomach. The clown doll I previously placed in the storage room was on top of my girlfriend with a sharp knife in his hand. I rushed to her and pushed the doll away. It laid unmoving on the ground. How terrifying. The doll had left 2 deep cuts on my girlfriend's hand with the knife it was holding. My girlfriend told me it wasn't a normal doll. As I bandaged the cuts for her, I asked her what had happened. My girlfriend told me that while she was in her sleep, she heard footsteps outside the door. The door slowly opened to her amazement. Her eyes wide in terror. She panicked as she saw the thing in front of her. The spooky clown was standing by the doll, demonically laughing at her. Unexpectedly, the doll pulled out a knife. Its eyes turned bloodshot as it put on a sinister smile that revealed all the sharp teeth and laughed hysterically. The doll raised the knife as it got inside the house and approached her. In just a blink of an eye, the doll growled and jumped at her. My girlfriend was extremely terrified. She reflexively defended the attack with her hands, then got off the bed and rushed to the door. She threw the pillows at the clown doll in order to slow it down. The doll cuts the pillows in half with a sharp knife in its hand, causing the feathers to fall out. My girlfriend was caught by the doll as she made it to the door. Luckily, I was there in time to save her. As I checked around the room, there was indeed blood on the mattress, while the pillows had already been cut in half. Not allowing this to happen again, I brought the doll to a friend of mine, asking him to sell it for me. He told me that it would take him a while to get an owner for the doll, since people were more interested in buying sex dolls rather than scary looking ones. I then told him about the horrific incident and advised him to sell it as soon as possible. But the man thought I was joking, as he found it hard to believe in such a story like that. He even said that my girlfriend had made it up in order to get rid of the doll. However, when I told him about the cuts on my girlfriend's hand, he gradually believed me, as he had also been told about the horror stories of haunted dolls before. The doll must have been jealous of my girlfriend, as she had replaced it and made it become less important to me. Before I left, I once again told my friend to be careful with the doll and contacted me immediately if any problem arose. The clown doll might have developed a bond with me, and there was likely some scary spirit being trapped inside of it. Since that day, I still hadn't gotten any information about the doll. However, I always had a feeling of being watched by someone.